Hello everyone and welcome to my new show Skies of Japan, where I plan to share the latest from the world of commercial aviation here in Japan with you every month. My name is Keiichi Nukina, and besides starting this show today, I also run a website called KN Aviation, where I share a lot of flight reviews, airport lounge reviews, and things like that. So if that's something that interests you, make sure to check it out. I will be linking to that in the description. On this show, we'll be talking about what's going on with Japanese airlines, airports, aircraft manufacturers, and we'll also be keeping a tab on what foreign airlines are doing here in Japan. So whether they're starting new routes, opening new lounges, so on and so forth. Going forwards, I also plan to put out some other aviation-related content here on YouTube, so if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. Today we'll be talking about what happened in Japan in the month of May. The first topic we'll cover is ANA's introduction of its A380 into service, which is perhaps the biggest news of the month, and we'll also talk a bit about Aviation and Vanilla Air, ANA's two local subsidiaries merging. We'll also cover a bunch of other news, so let's get started. Let's start with the main story of today, and that is ANA introducing its first Airbus A380 into service. The airline ordered 3 of these super jumbos back in 2015 in what was most likely a move to save Skymark Airlines, another Japanese airline, from bankruptcy. From that point, it was already known that ANA would be using these super jumbos exclusively on routes between Tokyo Narita and Honolulu Airport in Hawaii. And because of that, rather than painting them in the standard ANA Triton Blue livery, it decided to run a contest with the general public where people would submit ideas for Hawaii-themed liveries that the airline could paint the A380s into. After getting more than 2,000 submissions, it decided to go with a livery called Flying Honu, which is based on the Hawaiian sea turtle. And later on, it became known that rather than just the first aircraft wearing that livery, it would actually be all 3 A380s. So it was a bit of a bittersweet news for plane spotters and other aircraft enthusiasts, since that meant that the A380 in regular ANA livery would never actually see the light of the day. On the positive note though, ANA decided to paint all 3 of the A380s in different color, so we will be able to see Flying Honu in blue color, emerald green and orange once they are all delivered. The first of the 3 A380s was delivered to ANA back in March, and with that, now that Airbus has cancelled the A380 program, ANA has become the last ever airline to introduce the Super Jumbo into its fleet directly from the manufacturer. After dozens of training flights that the aircraft's done from its base in Tokyo Narita to Osaka, Nagoya and Sapporo and even Honolulu, the aircraft finally entered into service on May 24th on flight NH184 out of Tokyo Narita bound for Honolulu. Besides allowing ANA to increase its capacity on this very popular holiday route, it also gave it a chance to slightly revamp its onboard product, so ANA has introduced new first class, business class seats on the aircraft and so on. The ANA A380 is equipped with a total of 520 seats. The whole main deck is taken up by 383 of those, all in economy class. Some of those turn into couches. The upper deck features 8 redesigned first class suites, 56 staggered business class seats, and a large premium economy cabin with a total of 73 seats. On the day of the first flight, ANA also opened a new lounge at Honolulu Airport to accommodate for the larger capacity of the A380. And most noteworthy is the fact that now passengers can board the A380 directly from the lounge. Currently, ANA operates the A380 between Narita and Honolulu 3 times a week, but that's going to increase to 10 rotations a week on July 1st. ANA has already received its second A380 as well, and it's expecting to take delivery of the final third A380 in 2020, at which point it will be able to increase the capacity to Honolulu even further. Continuing, let's take a look at the merger of Peach Aviation and Vanilla Air, another major thing happening in the aviation market here in Japan right now. The owner of both of the low-cost carriers, ANA, decided to merge the 2 of them, the Osaka-based Peach and Narita-based Vanilla Air, back in March 2018, and it announced that Peach would be the surviving brand. While the process is not expected to be finished until October 26th, when Vanilla Air will operate its last flights, it is already well underway because of how complicated and complex it is. Back in April, one of Vanilla Air's 15 Airbus A320s was ferried to Kuala Lumpur, where it's currently undergoing cabin and cockpit reconfiguration so that it's up to Peach's specifications. And once the aircraft is repainted into the pink livery of Peach, it will return back to Japan, where it will join the airline as its 25th Airbus A320. More of Vanilla Air's aircraft are expected to go through this process as well, at a pace of roughly 2.5 months per aircraft. Besides the fleet integration, the 2 airlines are also in the process of integrating their route networks, which is why in May, Vanilla Air cancelled some of these routes, including the route from Osaka to Amami Oshima and to Taipei, from Tokyo to Naha and Hong Kong, as well as from Naha to Ishigaki and Taipei. All of the routes except for the Tokyo to Hong Kong route are expected to be restarted by Pidge later this year, most of them pretty soon in June. Now, let's briefly go over some of the smaller news from the Japanese players in the commercial aviation market here. On May 24th, ANA took delivery of the first of its two Boeing 777 freighters. The second one is expected to join ANA's fleet later this year, and ANA Cargo plans to use this aircraft both on routes within Asia as well as to North America. Staying on the topic of ANA, the airline will be reconfiguring 8 of its 777-200s and 11 of its 787-8s that it uses for domestic flights with new cabins. While doing so, it will also be increasing the number of premium class seats that each of the aircraft features. Most notably, each of the new premium class seats will feature a 15.6-inch personal screen, which will be the largest one that ANA has used in its domestic aircraft to date. The new economy class seats will be equipped with 11.6-inch personal screens as well, and they will also offer a universal power outlet to every single passenger. ANA expects the reconfiguration process to start in fall of this year, and it expects it to be done by the first half of fiscal year 2022. Continuing, on May 26th, Japan TransOcean Air operated its last flight with the Boeing 737-400. The farewell flight, which departed Naha Airport, overflew Yonaguni Airport and landed at Ishigaki Airport before overflying Miyako and Kumejima airports and then landing back at Naha, gave more than 100 passengers the chance to experience the Boeing 737 Classic for one last time. With that, the airline's 25-year history with the 737-400 is over, and now the sole type in JTA's fleet is the 737-800, of which it operates 12 airframes. At the same time, with JTA no longer operating the 737 Classics, ANA Wings is the last airline in Japan to operate the classic version of the most popular jet airliner. On a lighter note, in May, 3 new special liveries took to the skies for the first time. First, Skymark Airlines put a 737 promoting Vissel Kobe, which is a Japanese soccer team, into service on May 14th. The aircraft is expected to wear the livery until the end of 2020. Next, JAL introduced what could be considered its answer to ANA's Hawaii-related marketing efforts, the Arashi Hawaii jet. The 787-9, featuring the popular Japanese boy band Arashi, carried passengers for the first time on May 22nd from Tokyo Narita to Honolulu. The Arashi Hawaii jet is expected to operate until around December 2020, and it's mainly going to be seen on flights from Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka to Honolulu. Finally, on the last day of the month, J-Air, JAL's regional subsidiary, introduced its Minion Jet 2, its second collaboration with Universal Studios Japan. The plan is for the livery featuring the popular characters from the movie Despicable Me to be around until June 2020. The last news of this segment takes us to Hawaii once again, since on May 14th, JAL announced that next year it will operate a first sunrise flight out of Honolulu for the first time ever. First sunrise flights are a long-standing tradition with Japanese airlines. They are essentially sightseeing flights that many Japanese airlines, including ANA and JAL, offer on January 1st of every year. And the flights allow passengers to see the first sunrise of the year from the air, oftentimes somewhere around Mount Fuji. The Hawaiian first sunrise flight on January 1st, 2020 will be operated for JAL by Hawaiian Airlines using one of their Boeing 717 aircraft, and it will depart from Honolulu Airport. The flight will allow its passengers to see the first sunrise in the vicinity of Mauna Kea before landing back at Honolulu Airport. Finally, in this last segment, let's take a look at the noteworthy news regarding foreign airlines operating into Japan. Let's start in the United States, where the Department of Transport tentatively awarded the 12 new daytime slots between Tokyo Haneda and the United States that are expected to become available sometime before the 2020 Olympics. Tentatively, Delta Airlines was awarded 5 slots, allowing it to fly between Tokyo Haneda and Atlanta, Detroit, Honolulu, Portland, and Seattle. United was awarded 4 for flights between Haneda and Chicago, Los Angeles, Newark, and Washington, D.C. And finally, American Airlines was awarded slots for flights from Dallas and Los Angeles, and Hawaiian Airlines was awarded slot for an additional rotation between Tokyo Haneda and Honolulu. We'll be taking a closer look at this flight once the decision is final though. Staying in the United States, Hawaiian Airlines announced its decision to restart flights between Honolulu and Fukuoka, a route that it used to operate between April 2012 and June 2014. While the route is still subject to government approvals, Hawaiian Airlines plans to start operating the route before the end of this year, probably sometime around November. The airline plans to connect the capital of Hawaii with the largest city on the island of Kyushu 4 times a week. Unlike in the past, when the flights between Honolulu and Fukuoka used to be operated by Boeing 767-300, The new flights will be operated by the newer Airbus A330. Currently, Hawaiian Airlines operates flights to both of Tokyo's airports, as well as to Osaka and Sapporo, and so Fukuoka will become the airline's 5th destination in Japan. Continuing, Nepal Airlines is another airline that announced a new route to Japan. Its new flight from the Nepalese capital Kathmandu to Osaka will take off for the first time on July 4th, and it will operate every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday from that point on. The airline, which used to be known back then as Royal Nepal Airlines, used to operate to Kansai Airport about 12 years ago. Back then it operated the flights through Shanghai though. The new service will be the only non-stop route between Japan and Nepal, and so it will provide a valuable connection between the two countries. On the other side of the world, El Al announced that it will be starting scheduled flights between Tel Aviv and Tokyo Narita in March 2020. The airline plans to operate the flights 3 times a week using its 787-9 aircraft. While charter flights between Israel and Japan are fairly common, El Al's new flight will be the first scheduled link between the two countries. One last airline that will cover starting new routes to Japan is Turkish Airlines. On May 22nd, it announced that starting on April 14th, it will be starting a route between Istanbul and Osaka Kansai Airport. Initially, the flights will be operated 4 times per week before increasing to 5 rotations a week from June 2020. The airline used to connect the two cities using an Airbus A380 until 2016 when it terminated the route. This time around, it will be using its new Boeing 787-9 aircraft. It will also be using the Dreamliners to increase the frequency of its Istanbul to Tokyo Narita flights, going up from the current 7 a week to 11 weekly rotations. Alright, so that's it for me. As you can see, it's been a fairly interesting and eventful month for Japanese aviation, and hopefully that will be the case next month as well. I hope you found this show useful and that you will return for the next episode. As mentioned in the introduction, I also plan to start posting other aviation-related videos, so if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to this channel. And if you haven't had enough aviation for today, also make sure to head over to my website over at knaviation.net. Anyways, that's it for today, so thanks for watching and see you in the next video.